Welcome to Lesson 4 on Attributive Adjectives. Now, as we look at this, for our purposes, we're going to just mark this word off because these are just adjectives. As we look at these, and as you know, an adjective is a word that modifies, and as we mentioned before, modifies is just a fancy word for describes. It gives you more information about the noun or pronoun. It tells you instead of, go to the house, it'll tell you go to the red house. And the and red are both telling you more about house. And so that's what we look for the adjectives. Now, as we look at adjectives, just like articles, adjectives come right before nouns. And those are the nouns they're describing, and they're diagrammed just like articles. So while we have the baseline with our subject verb and either direct object or subject complement, all the descriptive words will always go below the baseline. So when you're diagramming, that's what you're looking for. So if we look at this sentence, the Wilsons are nice people. As we look at that, we need to identify the subject of the sentence, which is usually towards the front, not always, but usually, especially as you have more simple sentences like these. So we have the Wilsons, and we look for the verb. Now, you have two options for verbs, and if you look at your purple sheet that guides you through there, you can have an action verb, and then you can ask yourself, can you do it? So if you're lost, you can go through the sentence and say, can I Wilsons, can I are, can I nice, can I people? Well, I can't do any of those, so I don't have an action verb. So then look at your purple sheets for your linking verbs. And if you look there, you identify that we have are as a linking verb. So the Wilsons are. Now for the subject complement, we need to identify if we have a word that renames or describes the subject, because you're either going to have a predicate adjective or a predicate noun or nominative. But we're looking for a word, it's almost like a teeter-totter, where you have the linking verb in the middle, and you need to have the balancing on either side, two words that rename or describe. So Wilsons are people. Okay, so we have a noun there. So as we go through the sentence, mark off the words you've used. Wilsons are people. Now we have the, which we know is an article, it has to describe a noun or pronoun, and the word right after is Wilsons. So we put the on a diagonal line under Wilsons. And we have the word nice. Well, what kind of people are they? Remember, it tells you how many or what kind. And if you look at your purple words for the questions for adjectives, that's what you'll find. And so what kind of people? Well, they're nice people. And so we put nice on a diagonal line underneath people. As we look at the next example, the new students are Nigerians. Okay, as we look for the sentence, the subject of the sentence are students. And then as we look for our verb, we can see that we have a linking verb, which is are. And so now we need to find a subject complement, a word that renames or describes the subject. And we have Nigerians. So as we use the words in the sentence, students are Nigerians. Now we're left with the and new. Well, they're the students and they're new students, both words describing, so we put those underneath the subject. Now, one thing you want to know when you diagram two or more modifiers for the noun, you want to start on the left and put the modifiers in the order in which they appear in the sentence. So in this case, the came first and new was second, so we put the before new as we diagrammed it. So as we look at our examples here, let's draw our baseline. The subject of our sentence is Kelly. Now as we look for our verbs, Kelly was is our linking verb. Now we need, and the good thing about when you diagram sentences with linking verbs is that the subject will always be first with the linking verb in the middle, and the subject complement will always be to the right of the linking verb. So we need a word, strong, or swimmer. One of those words is renaming Kelly or describing Kelly. And as we look in that sentence, Kelly was swimmer. As we use all the words, so we have our baseline set, so we mark off the words we used. Kelly was swimmer. Now we're left with and strong. Now Kelly was a swimmer and she was a strong swimmer. Both of those modifying or describing swimmer. Comes first, so I'm going to draw it on diagonal line under swimmer. Strong comes next, so we put that underneath swimmer. And we've used all the words in the sentence. Now, as we look at number 2, the Yankees should be the best team. Well, if you're struggling to find the subject, ask yourself what the sentence is about. What noun or pronoun is the sentence about? Well, the sentence is about the Yankees. Okay, so we have our subject as Yankees. It's also towards the beginning of the sentence, so that gives me a clue as well. Yankees. Now, as we look for our verb, we have a linking verb, and as I look on my sheet, I can see should be. I can have 2 words. You can have 3 words that work through, as you know, for the verb phrase. So should be. Okay, Yankees should be. Now again, once we go through the sentence, the subject complement has to be on this side of the linking verb. So the best team, which one of those words renames or describes Yankees? And so we have team. Now once we have our baseline, let's mark off the words Yankees should be team. The is telling us about, well, it's the Yankees. The team, and they are the best team. So the comes first because it was first in the sentence. And we've used all the words in the sentence. All right, so now as we look at number 3, the big game has begun. Again, let's look for what the sentence is about. What noun or pronoun is the sentence about? Well, the sentence is about the game. Okay, so that's our subject. So the game. Now, as we look at our verbs, can you the, can you big, can you game, can you has, can you begun? Well, you can begin, so I can see here that I have an action verb. So this is my main verb, begun, and I can see that I have has next to it as the helping verb, helping it out. So the game has begun, and that is our verb. Okay, and we don't need, if you have an action verb, you can have a simple sentence with just a subject and a verb, and it's a complete sentence from there. So we are good with game has begun. So game has begun. Now we have the and big left. Well, it's the game, and it's a big game. So underneath game, we put the, and we put big. And we've diagrammed the sentences.